Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new episode of the interview line on the YouTube channel by Unakriti. We help you tap your avatars, and we truly believe that all of us have multiple potentials, and when we give them right direction and right shape, we can create monetizing opportunities for us. On today's episode, we have someone really special who's going to make you question if age is somewhere a stopper. If you think when you're reaching a retirement age and it's time to slow down, we have Surya Vaz who's joining us from Bangalore. She is 71 right now, busy with pottering around her garden, taking care of her pets, has an active social life. All of these things are over and above her professional interests that she has nurtured for so many years, from advertising to teaching to therapy. What makes her even more special that at the age of 58 she decided to go back to school and recraft her career all over again, continue to upgrade her skills for next 10 years and practice too. On that note, I'm going to welcome Surya. So Surya, thank you so much for making time and joining us on the interview line. We welcome you on this episode of the interview line.
Thank you, Navita, for having me. I look forward to talking with you.
So, Surya, thank you again. And, at the age of 58, when most of the people are slowing down, they want to focus on grandchildren or they just want to take a rest because they feel that it's the retirement age, you decided to go back to school. You enrolled in a program which, so to say, was not really easy, and you continue to take that further. So, tell us, how did you decide and why did you decide to go back to school, and how was that experience for you?
Yes. At the time, I was working with an NGO, which was catering to the needs of children and women. Part of my job responsibilities were fundraising and also preparing some of these children to enter the school system. These were children who had mostly been abandoned or relinquished by their families, so they had nobody of their own. They had probably not been to school either. A lot of them had come, or actually most of them had come from a very disturbed background. So it became quite apparent as the work continued that they would require some emotional support. So while we did have some counseling support for them, it wasn't very regular. And this made me sort of consider that maybe I should go back to school, maybe, and reskill myself. And that's where it all kind of started. Um, so I sort of looked around for a place to study. It was important to me to go to an institution which was well reputed and established. Also, some a place that would cater to really to what I needed at the time. A place that I felt that I would get what I needed to learn, and also where I would be able to cope. So I didn't want to really go in for a very long-term course, and also something that it really was very important that I feel connected to the place that I kind of went to. The challenges have been quite quite a bit. I think the challenge initially started from even before I joined the course, where I had to go for an interview. I hadn't been for an interview for like ever, and it was a little bit nerve-wracking, but that went through, and then I had to do a prep course before I actually started studying. So yeah, so that's how I got started. And there were some, of course, expected challenges where I would have to manage domestic commitments, social commitments, that sort of thing, manage my time better. Um, but some of the other concerns were really more pressing for me. One of them was I'd not been in school for a really, really long time. And I was kind of wondering, would I be able to cope with all this? Would I actually be able to study? And it was difficult initially because I had to get into a routine of reading, studying, remembering. That's one thing that was, always challenging. So that was one of the things. And then I think also joining a course where there would be younger people, younger colleagues, younger classmates. How would that be for me? Would I fit in? Would they accept me in a way? What would they think of me? Would they find me dated, outdated ideas? Would I be uncool in this new environment? And then my instructors were all younger than me. So that was also a thing, Now I would be sort of reporting. I mean, they would be these authority figures over me, and how would I cope with all of that? But it wasn't like that when I actually got in. These were the sort of doubts I came in with. But when I actually got started, it wasn't a block. So that, but I think the other concern also was wasn't tech savvy. I'm not really tech savvy now, but at that point, we had a desktop computer, which I used to use. But I used to use it for as routine work. And here now I was expected to research and complete assignments, present my work. So I think all of that was also a bit of a struggle at times. And I think my ego took a bit of a knock every now and then when I found I was struggling to cope and, having those kinds of concerns. Public speaking is also something I'm not terribly comfortable with. And here I had to, not only do the work, but present it. So these were the sort of things that were kind of bothering me initially. But I think I just continued. I mean, halfway through the course, it was difficult. Like, okay, I've gone halfway through, but there's so much more to go. But I think eventually, with a lot of support from friends, from family, from my tutors and instructors, and also the people who studied with me, I really felt that there were some cheerleaders in my corner of the room. And I think that helped me continue, keep on, and get through it. So that's where the journey began, so to speak. Yeah.
It's wonderful to hear that, when you identified a gap in the current space that you were working, you could have had options to invite people, but you decided to reskill yourself. And going back to school at that point in time could have meant a lot of important decisions, keeping a lot of factors in mind. So even though you said that you decided to do a program as a need for that organization that you were associated with, did you limit it only to that, or did you take it further? Did you monetize it further? How did the journey from then on take on for you?
Yeah. I think the whole experience was exciting, invigorating, and really quite life changing. So I think when I started the course, it was really focused on helping these children. But as I continued with the work and I acquired new skills, it became quite clear that I could use these skills not only to work with children, but also to work with adults and also couples. So for me, that was, in a way, a new path. So I didn't immediately change tack, but that was some place that I sort of gravitated towards. And then my work involved more counseling. So I continued my work with the children, but I also launched into counseling, working with adults, working with couples, and working with families. And that was, I think, it wasn't a very conscious decision. It sort of happened organically. But it's something that, looking back now, I'm so glad I did. Um, it still is something that I continue to do. And I think over the years, which I've been doing this for the last 10 or so years, I have constantly upgraded my skill, attended workshops, and met so many people in the field of what I do who have helped me, guided me, and really inspired me to keep at it.
You're putting it so humbly, and the way you're sharing, I'm sure you're inspiration to a lot of people, including me, who are continuing to lead your life in such an active way, even now at the age of 71. And I remember when we were having a chat, you
Hmm.
said you had rolled into a gym as well a few years
Hmm.
back. So there's like constant action. So you did not stop where you started your course for,
Yeah.
and you took it on. And the way you're putting it as well, it's like a sabbatical. You've not really stopped practicing.
Hmm.
You are still continuing to practice. That's amazing to hear, and a lot of inspiration and a
Hmm.
nudge to people who think that, after they've reached a certain age, they
Yeah.
cannot study, they cannot pick up
Hmm.
new skills, they cannot go out and interact with larger group. Here you accepted the professors, or the instructors who were younger to you, blending it with people who were younger to you in the course itself. uh, Let me bring you back to certain things which I hear from people when I'm working with senior citizens, or when I'm interacting with people at a certain age. There are some specific health related challenges, or certain mobility issues, or there could be many. According to you, from your experience, Surya, what were certain age associated challenges that you had to confront
Hmm.
and you had to overcome when you decided to upskill yourself at the age of 58, and then continued to do that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thank you for the little compliment you slipped in there, Navita. I grabbed it with both hands. Yeah. And I think also, in the kind of work you do, you work with people and to encourage them and to, um, I think, encourage, but also to support people to really look for what enthuses them, what brings them a certain amount of joy in their lives, what gives them a sense of achievement and accomplishment, and then you kind of help them uh, to channel their energies and their intellect in that direction. And that is such an important thing. And I kind of get it when I'm talking to you, because you kind of help me to look inwards and to actually think about certain things uh, which I might have missed in when I was talking to you, but also just reflect on things which helped me and pulled me through and brought me where I am today. And I think one of the things, they're really blocks, and so many of them are just in one's mind. I, they're kind of anxieties which I felt, and I spoke about some of them. What will it be like? Oh, will I be able to fit in? Or what will people think about me? So I think those are one set of things which can interrupt a person from going ahead and getting what they want. And certainly health issues, because I suffer from arthritis, had it from the time I was 30. So it's kind of really followed me through my life, and it comes up in certain times, and certain times it's not there. But it's something that I've had to live with, and I've accepted it, and run my life around this. That's there. I think also for a lot of people, it could be uh, choosing something. How do you choose what you want to do? And I think this is a wonderful opportunity when one is older, because you can really go for something that you actually want to do. Earlier, one has been limited by maybe circumstances, other people's expectations, and you're sort of pushed in a particular direction. But here you are where you don't have to worry about all that, and a little bit of trial and error, exploring, looking around, asking questions. And now there's the World Wide Web, where you can go to and look at things that are available out there. So I think really looking for something which, and being a little practical about it. Is it doable? And what is your goal? What do you want to achieve? I mean, I was lucky in the sense, when I went in to do this, I had a goal, and the goal was to help the children and to be able to help them. So, though, along the way, sometimes when things were getting tough, I would lose sight of this. But when I, sort of took it back, it became easier to continue. So I think having something, and for a lot of people, it might be just making some pocket money, which is fine. So if that is what one wants to do, then it's important to choose something which will give one the opportunity to do that. So, I mean, mine was, I ultimately was doing paid work and have been doing paid work for a long time. So earning has also been part of it, but it was never really the focus. It's, which is how it was for me, but it doesn't have to be that way for everybody else. So I think that's important. And I think also people should always give, and I really realized this after so many years, always give importance to life experience. And at this age has quite a bit of that. So tap into that. It helps to achieve what you want to persist in what one wants to do, and it really gives you so many insights and so many really advantages. One doesn't often think of it like that, but maybe advantages with even over people who have less experience in that sense. And you can really draw upon that whenever you need to. And I also think learning something new can be difficult. It can also be frustrating, but I think it will really blow away the cobwebs in one's mind and gives one a fresh perspective on life. So it doesn't only, the perspective changes not just in your area of work, but on so many other things as well, is what I found. Affects relationships, things, other things that you want to do. I mean, you could want to do something, want to write, or just simple things like travel or learn something more, something else. But it gives you the confidence and I think, the energy to go ahead. The other thing is, I've always had an exercise routine. I think largely because the arthritis can be sometimes debilitating, but with the exercise has always been something very important to me. So yoga and walking are two of the things. And yes, I did go to the gym as well. But after about 2 years, I realized that I don't think that's the place for me. So went back to my yoga and my walking. And that sort of helped me get through a lot. And I think also brought me to where I am today. Um, like I said again, nurturing friendships, relationships, been very important. And keeping my pets, I have two cats who wonderful, such de-stressors, bring me so much joy, amusement, all of that. One actually had kittens, so that was a whole different story. And I interact a lot with our street dogs. They're amazing characters, such resilience, and so much kindness, and they're so friendly and so not expecting much really from us, just a little kindness in return. And great life lessons from the street for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do hear you say that there are challenges that you
Mm,
had. At the same time, there are things that you continue to do to take
mm,
care of those challenges. So I heard you say health related challenge that you had to really work with was
yeah,
arthritis.
yeah.
And second, you spoke about is technology and not
Mm,
being that tech savvy,
yes.
and typing it out and
Mm,
speaking in front of people, doing assignments,
mm,
getting back into the student mode. Another very important point that you raised was
mm,
having a routine.
mm,
And that when you are not into an active life, sometimes routine takes a back seat.
mm,
But you did put an effort to get the right routine, having the right, also looking after your physical health by
mm,
exercising right, looking after your mental support with the pets and all the other work that you continue to do, and somewhere did not get stopped at all by the challenges, because the rewards were way too many. You spoke
mm,
about interacting with new people, building new relationships, gaining new experience in life, and just allowing yourself to bloom and further explore the world in a
mm,
new way of life. You also highlighted in the discussion that we just had so far is
mm,
the importance of keeping an open mind, just going ahead with what's coming forth
yes.
your way. So those are very very valuable insights, Surya. Thank you for
Hmm.
bringing them forward. Another observation that I've
Hmm.
had, and I would be curious to have you share your point of view, that when people reach a certain age, there are certain
Hmm.
social blocks or,
Hmm.
personally imposed social obligations that
Hmm.
people live with. That, now what's the point of learning new skills? Now I should be focusing more on my grandchildren. Or
Hmm.
now, how will I go out there and learn something
Hmm.
new altogether? These are very real
Hmm.
conversations when you're speaking with someone at a
Yes.
certain age. What are your thoughts around it? And from your experience,
Hmm.
whether monetary or not, like you
Hmm.
said, whether it's pocket money or actual money that you want to make, or you just want to do volunteering, what
Hmm.
are these blocks people will need to
Hmm.
get over if they
Hmm.
want to open the gates and step out?
Yes. Yes, I think that's a really very important question, and something that I also did struggle with. Just to give you an example, when I was finding the course stuff going, I spoke to a friend, and she said, you know, why are you doing this? And I think she meant it very well. She meant that, you're struggling so much, you don't need to just chill, take it easy. Um, but I mean, I get where she's coming from, and but fortunately, I spoke to somebody else, and who's still very much a part of my life, and they sort of helped me get a better perspective on things. Was this a temporary thing that I was going through, or was this something from my past where maybe I didn't get the kind of encouragement that I might have needed when I wanted to do something that I really wanted to do. So, just sort of sitting with that and thinking about it sort of helped me face it. And I think definitely people do feel at an earlier age very reluctant to try something new. Um, I think going back to school is not something which is very common in India. So that is one thing. Mm. And yes, definitely thinking that, okay, this is a stage in life. You need to help the family with babysitting, looking after grandchildren, all these kinds of things. But again, I think these are all mental blocks. And we worry about how we will perform in a new situation. So I think for me, it was really important to let go of the concern about what people will think about me. I really don't have to care. I don't have to please anybody. And it's okay to not get everything right every time. In a sense that I will make mistakes, I will blunder, and it's all right. Everybody does. So if people are going to judge me, that's all right. Let them go ahead. It's a free country kind of thing. So somewhere to make myself okay with that, to accept that. But it is hard, especially if one hasn't done this before, hasn't left the home environment. It's a very nice environment when you've come to the grand old age of almost 60, where the children are away. You have a lot of time and space, and you have a certain status in your family and your household. Why would you want to go and challenge yourself and be brought down to the level of a fresher, and have to cope with all that? So I think these are definitely things that one worries. I did. How will my, how will my instructors treat me at my age? If they scold me, will that be the end of me? It wasn't actually. So it was, like I said, it's so much stuff in one's head that one has to really look into. Yeah, and speaking of tech savvy, that was such a worry for me. And so when you invited me to be on this platform with you, and it was so easy to get on this absolutely wonderful system that you have going in your organization, where it's one click, and I asked you, I said, who developed this? This is wonderful, and you said it was your husband who had done that. So I think that made it all so much simpler, so much user friendly, which is what most people are looking for.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that compliment for channel.unakriti. Yeah, it's a platform that we created specifically for ourselves, and we take your feedback and make it larger.
Mm,
But I think there are some very important points that you raised, that there are certain things which are not common,
mm,
and there will be social stigmas or social blocks that are likely to come in the way. People are going to tell you certain things,
mm,
slow down, don't do this, don't do that, but it's important to ignore certain
mm,
things and still follow your heart and calling if you want to really create something for
mm,
yourself or meaningful. I think that's a very, very important message that
mm,
you are sharing with the audience today, that do not get stopped by judgments, by the questions, and by the messaging that you may
mm.
hear when you want to try something new.
Yes.
Uh, One more observation, Surya,
Mm,
that I would like to say when I'm working with people, that after a certain age, certain things become realities for people.
mm.
Like people in my age group,
Yes.
when I speak with a few friends, they may have lost one of their parents and the other one is alone,
Yeah.
and still something holds them back. And
Mm,
children are trying to figure out the ways to keep parents engaged. Similarly, when someone is alone, it's even
mm.
more difficult for them to take certain actions.
Yes.
But your journey, your experience is truly an inspiration that
Mm,
you can create something really meaningful for you, even if you are at a certain age which the
mm,
society so to says you need to slow down and you cannot
mm.
take it further, or you may feel stopped because of health
Yes.
challenges. If you had to share two top lessons
Mm,
with people today to nudge them, to not let age come in
mm.
their way and continue to explore various things, what would those be from your
Yes.
journey?
I think, like you said, a lot of people, there are so many, so much reluctance in some ways, which is sometimes difficult to get over. So I would really suggest, go for something small. Take a little baby step out, test the waters, just put your toe in. So just go and try something which is quite contained. Just go out and try something really small. And once that is enjoyed or achieved, that kind of builds the confidence, or it gives an impetus to go and try something maybe a little more and work through it. So I think that's something which is easy enough for most people to do. The other thing is to really think about, where your interests lie. What is something that one would really like to do? Um, it could be something very, very challenging. So maybe, hold that for later. So start with something that really draws you, not because somebody else is doing it or your neighbor is suggesting it, but something that, you really feel like um, involving yourself in. I think this is something that uh, people could think about. And I think enlist people to support you. It's surprising the different quarters that support can come from. And I think one's own family, when they realize that somebody is, really making an effort to do something because it's something that they need for themselves, they will eventually sort of give that little bit of support, encouragement, and that would help to go out and face larger society. So the family can be a really great place to get your support and your encouragement from. Even if it isn't coming initially, it could come a little bit later. Friends too, reading, and there's the net where you can read about so many people's experiences, things that they've tried. So I think things like that. And like I said, it is amazing if you can do it. Just give it a try.
Thank you. Thank you. So I hear you say very important lessons. One is if it is looking too large,
Yes.
start small. Second, pay attention to what excites you and what interests you and
Mm.
follow that, and
Yeah.
not what somebody else tells you to
Mm.
do and not what somebody else might be doing. Third, very important point that you shared was that enroll your family members and
Mm.
seek support, because once they start to see your interest, then the information,
Mm.
the sources of information will be easy to look up online. But
Mm.
the family and other support systems can be created, and we may actually surprise ourselves. And if nothing else,
Mm.
it's good to give it a try and
Mm.
not get stopped because of certain societal norms, certain age associated norms, certain role associated norms, or certain norms that we may have created for ourselves which do not serve us
Mm.
anymore. Those are very, very important points. And
Mm.
I hope after hearing this conversation today, a lot of people who are holding themselves back
Mm.
are going to take this forward, because you did not only took up something new, from an interest in your current volunteering space, but you made it large. You made it a potential of monetization for you, and you continue to practice it even now. Thank you so much for sharing such wonderful insights. At this point in time, before we let you go, any closing words that you have for us or the audience?
Yeah. Yes. I like the way you summed it all up, Navita. Put it all in really into a nutshell. I think that is something that you can really probably offer uh, with the way you do it to your broader clients and to people you inspire and help. Um, I think as a last point, really, I was sort of trying to think. It's really. Really just following your heart. I think what you said, just going ahead, giving it a shot, just getting out there, giving yourself that little push. um, Nobody is better equipped than somebody else to do it. Everybody has two hands, 2 feet. If you've got most of your faculties, you can really go ahead and try something else. So I, I think it's just that, just going out and sometimes you just have to take a leap of faith. Jump in, see what will happen.
Yeah. True, true. On that note, just as you heard Surya, take that leap of faith, find what excites you, and move ahead. Age is not a limitation, and you will find opportunities that can help you create potentials for you. Monetizing or not, that comes secondary, but you can definitely explore potentials which you have not explored so far in your age. And as Surya put it, at this point in time, a lot of other things are taken care of, and you really can do what you have been wanting to do. So thank you so much, Surya, for tuning in, and thank you all for hearing this interaction. And we look forward to bring more fascinating people like Surya on the interview line and continue to nudge you to explore your potentials. If you haven't subscribed to Unakriti so far on YouTube, go ahead and do it now. Until the time we come back, don't forget to tap your avatars. Thank you. See you very soon.